We are less than 2 months away from the 2025 season finishing and finally finding out who will be playing at Worlds this season, as the top rankings for each region will be finalizing. In the lead up to NAIC, we still have plenty of action coming up, and Milwaukee is the next big tournament in the extremely busy Pokemon calendar during May. With Journey Together and Rotation, many things have changed in the metagame, as we have brand new decks and familiar faces all fighting for a spot at the top. And so, in today's video, we will take a look at my personal tier list, where I will rank all the archetypes in the standard format based on their popularity, strength and success so far, now that we are 4 major tournaments into the new rotation. In tier 4, we have the decks that are cool looking archetypes but honestly have no business being considered competitive and are better left for casual league days or maybe league challenges at most. Cerulege EX in theory looks powerful and it can deal unlimited damage, but in order to do so you need to dedicate so much valuable deck space to energy cards that there is little room for anything else other than consistency. With Rotation, it lost its usual Palkia V-Star partner and it now feels weaker than ever. So despite it being a fan favorite, it has no results to back it up, and I don't know if there will be anything that can make this deck more competitive to climb the tiers. Mamoswine EX is a brand new deck from the Journey Together set. Its Rumbling March attack requires you to play a deck based around a lot of stage 2s, and the usual partners are Pidgeot EX and Blaziken EX to provide amazing support. With Mamoswine's own ability helping with the setup, this deck feels amazing if it sets up, but with Body slowing down Rare Candy, as well as Dragapult EX dominating the metagame and threatening multiple KOs at once, the deck has failed to live up to the hype and hasn't had any good results so far. Slowking is another deck that on paper should be amazing, since the Seek Inspiration attack lets you copy incredible attacks like Curious Trifrost or Regigiga's Jewel Breaker. However, in order to do so you need to play awkward cards like Academy at Night and Cypher Maniac's Code Breaking in order to arrange your top deck correctly, and also run Xatu to help power up Slowking after Slowking. A very fun deck that probably won't make a deep run in a tournament anytime soon. Milotic EX or Waltz is a deck that had so much hype online before tournament started. People were complaining how the deck felt unfair, calling it the new Snorlax even though the deck plays nothing like it. However, now that we have actual results, it seems like the tournament in Japan where it initially did well and caused all the hype was the exception, not the rule. And all these walls-based decks just are not strong enough to compete. And even if they can handle some decks perfectly, with Gardevoir dominating tournaments, these decks don't have a lot of hope to make it far in a tournament. Hobbs Zacian EX, Hobbs Dotwool, and Hobbs Cramorant set off the nostalgia in the community with the Boswell GX Lycanroc GX similarities, so people were sure this deck would be a good, just like Boswell was back in the day. However, that has not been the case at all. HPs are way higher nowadays, 230 is nowhere near enough to deal with the stage 2 Pokemon out there right now, and Hobbs Dotwool doesn't double up as a powerful attacker despite the fantastic Boss Sorter's ability. With 0 good results out of 4 major tournaments, seems like just like in the video games, Hop won't be the main character of TCG either. And so now, let's move on to tier 3. Which contains the decks that have more merit than all the tier 4 decks, as they are powerful archetypes that have their own cool party tricks up their sleeves to set them apart from the rest, and they all have had at least one decent result so far in major tournaments, but they are not popular enough amongst the players to be considered a tier 2 deck. Blissey EX got shown off by the current world champion at the Monterrey Regional Championship, where he made it all the way to 2nd place. The deck with high HP and 4 Munkidori, which are very easy to use each turn thanks to the Happy Switch ability, means a potential heal up of up to 120 damage off of Blissey EX, as well as dealing 12 damage counters spread out to your opponent. However, the deck has terrible Gardevoir and Regibolt matchups, so it's hard for the deck to become top tier when it has an almost auto win against Dragapult but an almost auto loss against Gardevoir. Froslass has a very unique ability that can be quite powerful in the right circumstances if you can slow things down and buy time for the Freezing Shroud damage to accumulate on your opponent's side of the field. With Munkidori to help increase your damage output as well, this deck is very appealing to many players because it plays very uniquely and different, since we haven't had a true spread deck be viable in Standard for a long time now. It recently got top 8 in Sevilla, and its hype and popularity had been growing beforehand, so despite a questionable Gardevoir matchup, perhaps Technical Machine Devolution, Body and Maractus are enough to make this a decent pick in the right metagame. Zoroark EX finally got its breakthrough moment in Sevilla, and with good reason. The trade ability is fantastic, and Darmanitan's Flame Body Cannon attack is quite powerful and threatening to a lot of top decks like Gardevoir, Dragapult and Gholdengo, combined with powerful Rage making it so attacking a Zoroark EX can be a bad idea, and powerful energy acceleration with Ents PP up, you have all the makings of a good deck. However, one breakthrough weekend of a good deck isn't enough to now put this deck at the forefront of the metagame, and it'll need to use the momentum from Sevilla to keep performing and rising in popularity for it to be considered a top tier deck. Roaring Money X is another deck that is deemed unplayable after every rotation, yet it continues to show strength. The poison package of Petulant, Brute Bonnet and Perilous Jungle slots in perfectly with Roaring Money X, as it also benefits from the Ancient Booster Energy Capsule extra HP as well. Being able to use the Poison Chain attack, get a few turn 1 easy wins, and have Frenzied Gouging at your disposal makes for a very powerful deck overall, but it can also feel inconsistent at times. And despite doing well over in Malaysia, we are still waiting for this deck to truly shine in post-rotation. Flare in the X is a tier 3 deck, but it feels close to being a tier 2 deck. The combination of Sylvie in the X and Flare in the X is quite powerful and actually covers a lot of the metagame very well. Burning Charge can easily take down Goldengo and is a great energy acceleration attack. Carnelian covers almost everything else, and when combined with Black Build, it even covers Dragapult and Archaladon. Sylvan EX adds another dimension to the deck, as when combined with Lily's Clefairy EX, Magical Charm can 1-KO a Dragapult or a Raging Bolt. And finally, Angelite is one of the best and most disruptive attacks in the game, allowing you to shuffle 2 Gardevoir EX for example, forcing your opponent to have a third if they want to have any sort of response at all. However, in order to do all this, the deck relies heavily on multiple card combos off of Noctowl's Jewel Seeker, and that means being very susceptible to Iono or simply late game running out of Hootwoots to evolve, and this is what is holding back the deck from being even more competitive. Don't forget that you can watch videos 24 hours earlier if you become a channel member by following the link in the description below. This kind of support helps me continue to create content like this, so please consider becoming a channel member if you enjoy the content. Next, we have the tier 2 decks. All of these are powerful archetypes that are very popular and have had good results in the tournament so far. Any of these decks can go up and have a chance to beat the tier 1 decks as well, so any of them can make a good deep run in the right hands. Joltik Box is a deck that almost came out of nowhere and got top 8 at Monterey, following it up with a huge spike in popularity in online events and doing quite well in Sevilla the weekend after. The deck uses Jolting, Charge and Crispin to power up powerful threats like Iron Hands EX and Pikachu EX, alongside Lily's Clefairy EX to threaten Dragapult. With Dragapult and Gardevoir slowing things down with Body, they usually feel pretty safe in their setup, but since this deck doesn't need too many items to power up for an Ampu very much, dealing with a turn 2 Iron Hands EX fully powered up can be quite daunting. I expect this deck to continue doing well and going up in popularity in the next few set of events, solidifying itself as a top tier archetype even more. Terrabox didn't immediately shine like it was expected to after Tord Reklev set the world on fire with his top 16 in a Japanese Champions League. However, the deck has finally garnered some good results after having a mediocre Atlanta showing. The deck can power up so many different powerful attackers to adapt to many different situations, and that is what makes it quite powerful. Need to dish out huge damage, Pikachu EX or Terrapagos EX can do it. Need to deal with a dragon, Lily's Clefairy EX takes the stage. Want to pressure opponent's evolving Pokemon? Wellspring Ogerpon EX has you covered. The deck can do it all, backed by the powerful Noctowl engine. And after a couple of top 8 placements, it is finally showing where all the hype came from. It's far from the best deck in the format like it was originally predicted, but it is a very powerful deck nonetheless. Terrapagos EX is almost the opposite of Terrabox. It rose fast and hard to stardom in the weeks before rotation, got a top 8 placement in Atlanta, and then hasn't had a relevant placement since. The deck creates a very tanky Terrapagos EX protected with Buvalan's Curly Wall and Bravery Charm, putting it out of range of Pikachu EX even. However, Raging Bolt and Goldengo, 2 other top tier decks, make quick work of it regardless of how much HP it has, and the deck also struggles against Gardevoir, meaning the deck is a solid tier 2 deck but less versatile than Terrabox. Archaladon EX is still trying to get a good solid placement, so you might be surprised as to why it is in tier 2. But as I mentioned in the beginning, I take into account not just raw strength of the deck or latest finishes, but also popularity. And this deck has been a popular choice amongst many players, with the appeal of the poison package similar to the Roaring Moon deck, but also Archaladon being a pretty powerful and self-sufficient Pokemon, which also enjoys the damage boost that the poison package provides. Despite not getting a big finish yet, the deck is quite powerful and difficult to play against, which is why it is considered a top tier deck. Raging Bolt DX is very similar to Archaladon, where it hasn't had a big breakout result yet, but it has managed to make it into asymmetrical top cut twice, finishing in 9th both times in Monterrey and Sevilla. I don't think there can be any discussions now on whether playing Noctowl or not is correct in the deck. It definitely is to help support achieve powerful Bellowing Thunders, which can take down anything in one hit by finding Professor Sada's Vitality or Crispin early on. And despite not getting a big finish yet, the deck is always amongst the most powerful and popular archetypes in every tournament we have seen so far, which makes this deck something you always have to account for, even if it isn't the most successful overall, especially with a non-EX Raging Bolt providing a new dimension to the deck that it didn't have before. Goldingo EX is the last tier 2 deck, and is honestly very close to tier 1. Coin bonus makes the deck almost immune to hand disruption, and Make It Rain is a powerful attack that can take down anything in its path. Hurt with Monkey makes it a headache for Dragapult to deal with, but its biggest enemy Bodyu is very present in the tier 1 decks, and that definitely affects this deck's performance as you have to be extremely careful with your energy management all game. Despite this, Goldingo EX is accumulating big finishes and also being favored by a lot of top tier players helping boost its results. So despite not having a regional win yet, the deck is most certainly one of the best in the format. And finally, we have the tier 1 decks. And no, that is not a visual mistake. Dragapult DX is indeed listed twice in tier 1 because of the core differences in gameplay options between the Dusknoir variant and the solo version of the deck. Dragapult DX Dusknoir is one of the best decks, and you would only not know this if you had been living under a rock for the last 3 months. Before rotation and now after rotation, this deck is one of the best, with Curse Blast complementing the damage counters of Phantom Dive perfectly, as well as helping make your Ionos more devastating and having the possibility to activate your own counter catchers. However, after placing second in Atlanta, it has yet to have another outstanding result compared to the non-Dusknoir version, which honestly, that is very surprising to me, but despite being more popular overall so far, it has been less successful. Either way, in the grand scheme of things, it's a Dragapult DX based deck. So no matter what supporting cast you have for it, it's the benchmark of the format and the deck you know you have to have a good game plan against heading into any competitive tournament. Dragapult DX Solo has been very successful, and that is why it is considered a different archetype altogether. It basically replaces the Dusknoir line with more consistency in supporters and a single Munkidori alongside Darkness Energy to help it become better at winning body standoffs, whilst providing good synergy for Phantom Dive later down the line. With only Haluch as another way to manipulate damage, the deck isn't as effective at multiple price turns like the Dusknoir variant, but it is much better at having multiple Dragapult DXs set up to have them ready one after the other to deal with anything your opponent has ready for you. However, despite this deck being arguably better in the mirror, it has a worse matchup than the Dusknoir variant against the other tier 1 deck, Gardevoir EX. Gardevoir EX is now arguably the best deck in the format, as even if it hasn't been anywhere near as popular as the Dragapult DX decks, it has been the most successful by far, having won every single TPCI major event since rotation. Lilith Clefairy EX gave the deck a much needed dedicated answer for Dragapult DX decks, and with the usual Drifloon, Screamtail and Munkidori support, Gardevoir EX is poised to continue its dominance and maintain its place at the top despite being disregarded initially due to the loss of Refinement Kirlia. Turns out, the deck is just fine acting as a body Munkidori deck in the beginning while it slows down the game and sets up, since every other deck also had huge consistency changes as well. And so, hopefully this shows you what I think are the best and most powerful archetypes in the current standard format. In case you are planning on playing a major tournament soon, whether you're trying to win the whole thing with Dragapult or have some fun with Mamoswine or Slowking, hopefully this video has been useful for you to give you a good idea of what the metagame currently looks like and also what to expect in the next few weeks as we have the final batch of tournaments leading to the new Destined Rival set and the final tournament of the season at NAIC. As always, I will continue to reevaluate and adjust my expectations and opinions as we have more results to see if I might have overestimated or underestimated some decks. Make sure you're subscribed and stay tuned to this channel for everything Pokemon TCG related, as the 2025 season is close to finishing and we finally get to see who will be earning an invite to the World Championships in Anaheim in August. For now, I'd love to hear what you think will do well at the upcoming regionals, and if there are any surprises left in the Journey Together metagame. Thanks for watching, and until next time.
If you want to support the channel, you can use code tablemon to get 5% off at Potent Store for your online codes. 10% off for your sealed product at Flipside Gaming,
and 10% off on your aluminum accessories at TC Evolutions.
or if you're looking to buy singles or sleeves, you can fill up your cart and close the tab, then click on the affiliate link in the description and check out. That way you can support the channel over at TCG Player, Card Market, and Dragon Shield.
¿Eres de México y necesitas cartas de Pokémon? Busca Hyperbeam Cards en Facebook e Instagram. Y si estás en Tijuana, búscalos en el local C27 en el centro comercial Otay.